let's get into adventures in self-care. I am doing this topic today because I truly believe that variety is the spice of life. And when you're doing the same thing, like there's great value in routines and like rhythms and all of this, but it is important to shake things up every once in a while. Now realize that everything you're doing now has had a first time, right? There's, I always think of this like with my kids and food. I'm like, especially my oldest daughter is so picky, and she's like all about like, well, she's not so much anymore. She's been a little bit more adventurous, but like bagels and cream cheese. And she's like, I don't like that. I don't like that. Like she only wanted bagels and cream cheese. I'm like, the first time you tried a bagel and cream cheese, like you didn't know if you liked it. Like she discounts things before she tries them. And so taking that onto the self-care level, like I don't want you to discount things because you haven't tried them. In the group, I made a post about, I'm trying to think of how I worded it. Something like, what's something that you've always wanted to try or that looks like a lot of fun to try? Like this was just to encourage you to do a little bit of brainstorming and thinking of what are some things, like maybe somebody who does it, or you've seen it on TV, or you've come across it, you've just heard about it. What are some things that you look like, hey, that could be fun. Like, oh, I imagine that would be fun. Like, start that list, create like a running list of different activities of things that you can try that are new. So this puts you out of your comfort zone. It gets you out of a rut and really makes you feel alive. Now, I'm not talking about extreme sports here. Definitely not talking about extreme sports, unless that's your thing, right? Unless you look at like whitewater rafting and you're like, oh, I've always wanted to do that, or skydiving, right? Those are two things that I've just never wanted to do, but I consider them extreme sports because they're definitely life risking. And that's just not something for me. But if that's like your level of adventure, when you think of adventure, and that's something that looks like fun to you, then put it on your list, right? So we've got a problem when you're staying in your comfort zone. The problem with it is that nothing grows in a comfort zone and you get zero growth. Like you have to put yourself out there and try new things in order to grow and to discover things about yourself. If you don't try new things, then you're kind of just going to fall into this rut where things are always familiar, things are always comfortable, and you're not going to develop or grow. So I want you to think small. Like I said, not skydiving, or unless that's your thing, like bring it back and think of like, what are some things that you can do every day? Or, not that you're doing an adventurous thing every day, but like, what are some smaller things? Like maybe that means signing up for a 5K or like some kind of race. You could always grab a friend or your spouse. My husband and I did a few half marathons, and it was a really great way for us to, spend time together and work towards a goal. But it was something like I feel like I am a runner now, but back then I was not a runner. I was not able to run. Like when we met, I wasn't able to run from our house to the neighbor's house. He was in the service, and like some mornings, like he'd be like, come on, let's go for a run. And I'm like, I hated it. And I couldn't run. And then it got to this, like probably maybe 10, 15 years into our marriage. I was like, I want to run. Like it just, I don't know. I just started learning about running and stuff, and I wanted to run, and I was determined. And so I started running. And then it got to a point, I think it was like 2000, I'm trying to think, maybe 2012. I signed up for a half marathon and did the training, right? I had to get up first to like running just a half mile and then a mile. And then, eventually like incrementally making it up to the amount. A half marathon is 13.1 miles. And so that's a long distance for somebody who doesn't even like running. And eventually I did start like running. And so then we did that half marathon together, but that was something completely out of my comfort zone. For me, that was adventurous. That was something that I had to like get myself way out of my comfort zone in order to do the training and in order to do the half marathon. And I actually ended up I trained for 4 half marathons, but I ran 3. The 4th one, I was nursing, and there was a bad storm. While I was nursing, and my in-laws were watching our youngest, and I think I was like 2 months postpartum, like 2 or 3 months postpartum. So granted, I trained while I was pregnant. But so they kept our kids for the weekend and we went down because it was a destination run, which I don't really recommend for a half marathon because you don't really get to see the places that you did. We did a Vegas one with I did a Vegas one with my friends one time, and definitely don't recommend that. But hey, it might be fun. You might have to try it for yourself. And anyway, so I was breastfeeding and I was like, we were late for the buses, and because I was like, I have to pump, and I was such in pain, and we went, and the storm and the pole got like hit by lightning, like in the parking lot. It was like one thing after another. I'm like, this is not happening. Like it just wasn't happening. And so I trained for it and we felt prepared, but we just didn't make that fourth one. But anyway, I think that was my third one. I think that was because my Vegas one was the fourth one. But anyway, I didn't mean to get off on a tangent there. I just wanted to make it a point. Like I never would have tried, like I never would have done those half marathons and like got the satisfaction or the joy from doing that or the achievement had I not put myself out of my comfort zone and decided to try something new. Maybe taking a day trip to somewhere that you haven't been before, right? Maybe that would be on your list of adventurous self-care. Like what are some places you like to visit? And a day trip, like somewhere that's within driving distance, maybe, or maybe even like a store you want to visit, or a new location, or a new park, or like somewhere that's in your town. Like be a tourist in your own town and try some new things that you may have heard about or you may have wanted to try. That is, those are some ways of getting out of your comfort zone and trying something new. Trying a new fitness class. I tried 2 last week. I tried an ULA 1 class, which was a yoga, like a yoga dance fusion class. And then I tried a Zumba class, which I was a Zumba instructor. So I'm very familiar with Zumba, but it was a new class, like as far as a new instructor, a new location, like it was for seniors. It was Zumba Gold, but I had met the instructor. And like I wanted to go try her class. She wasn't actually even teaching the class. She's in here. She's in the Moms Without Capes group, but she wasn't even in the class that I tried. It was a little slow for me. I mean, I probably will try it again, but I really liked the yoga dance fusion class. So shout out to Joby, who's also in this group. And she was the one that invited me to go try the class. And I ended up really loving it. So I went back a few times since. But trying a new fitness class is a great way to get out of your comfort zone and take some and be a little bit adventurous with your self-care. Taking a class. So this could be online or it could be in person, right? Completely up to you. Learning a new language. Like, yeah, there's Duolingo. That's what I've been using. I've been practicing. I've been brushing up on my Italian and my Spanish. But like you can go take a class, maybe at the local college or the community college might have a language class that you can take. Sewing, quilting. I took a quilting class when I first moved to the last town that I lived in, just to meet people. Soap making, tie-dyeing, coffee 101, or, take a wine class or how to make wine. Or I was looking up, like in preparation when I was doing the outline for this live, I was like, what are some weird classes that I can mention? And what came up was like, apparently there's a blog that was written about the 10 or 12 weirdest classes, and surviving the zombie apocalypse was one of them. So I decided to grab that one and share that one with you. Hey, if you're interested in learning about that, there's a class for that. So just like, the whole point here is just stepping out of your comfort zone and seeing what else you can do for self-care that it's not like just the normal, like journaling, meditation, praying, sitting outside, right? Like all of those things that feed our soul and help us like with our emotional health, or like massages and bubble baths and walking, like those kind of things, like just stepping out of that and thinking outside the box and saying, what can I do to add some fun and adventure to my life? And then making a list of that. And it's not that you have to do an adventurous self-care practice every single day, but maybe choose one of those smaller things. Do one thing each week that's going to step you out of your comfort zone, and then maybe planning for a bigger one. Say if you are into whitewater rafting, or you want to go skydiving or take surf lessons or snowboard or skiing lessons, or like whatever it is, maybe choose one of those to do each year. Like make it a goal, like one time a year, you're going to step out and do something big and adventurous, because that's going to create a huge memory for you. First of all, it's going to help you learn so much about yourself. And it's going to introduce you to something completely new that you would have not known otherwise. So that's it. I just want to refer to, I did a podcast episode interview with Jody Freed, and it's episode 57, and it's all about embracing your vision. And when I was writing the outline for this, when I was preparing to come on and do this Facebook Live or podcast episode, if you're listening to this on the podcast, I thought of Jody, because that was what she did. Like part of her story was she didn't want to give up adventure. I just clipped off my group. She didn't want to give up adventure when she had kids. And so she decided, like, she didn't think anything, like, she didn't think she had to, right? We don't have to, but I mean, a lot of the cultural norm is to give up your own passions and everything when you have kids. And so she realized, she was like out camping, like, 2 weeks after her kids were born, or her kid was born. And then she realized that there's lots of moms that stopped being adventurous after they became moms. And so she decided to create an entire business around this and bringing moms, out on adventures. So I just wanted to mention that if you're interested in listening to that episode, it's episode 57. I will link to it in the show notes, and I'll put it under the comments too here in the group. So my call to action today is to sit down and write a list. Take 20 minutes and just do a brain dump. Right? Just brainstorm what would be adventurous to you? What are some things that would get you out of your comfort zone that you've heard about or you've seen and that you'd like to try, that look like fun, and it would look like, a fun way to practice self-care. So that is my call to action today. I do want to see if you are interested in scheduling a call with me. I can help you brainstorm this. Get on the call with me and we can explore together how self-care, how you can start implementing self-care and adventurous self-care into your life. But I will put the link for that as well in the comment section under here and in the show notes. So it's momswithoutcapes.com/love yourself. You can see what days and times I have available. Let's get on a call and we'll figure this out together.